So I've been designing and 3D printing organizers for my toolbox, but I've been designing them to work in conjunction with the system that Alien Space Saver carries. If you guys aren't familiar with the Alien Space Saver wrench organizers, these things are amazing. I love these things. Now they're kind of like the Tecton, maybe the toolbox widget, only these are fully adjustable. Unlike the toolbox widget, for example, that all link together, these are designed to mount on these aluminum rods. These are 1/4-inch aluminum rods, I think. You can cut these things to length for your toolbox to fit your individual needs, but allow full adjustability of their wrench organizers, just giving you endless possibilities for organization. So I love these things. But I wanted a way to also organize ratchets, nut drivers. I also wanted to design my own plier organizer, but I wanted everything to work in conjunction with the Alien Space Saver wrench organizers. So, and I've done a couple of videos already up to this point. I'll link to some of those up here. And I've come up with some other ideas of things that I'm working on. But let me show you what I've done, what I've come up with, and what I've printed and how they're working out. So the first thing I wanted was a way to organize my ratchets. Now I had used the Alien Space Saver wrench organizers to begin with, and they worked out really well, but I thought I could come up with something a little bit better, something more suited for ratchets. So I came up with these different designs. This is for a 1/4-inch, and they have magnets inside. One focus, maybe you'll focus, maybe not. So they have a magnet inside that can help keep the wrench in place. They also have magnets on the bottom to kind of help hold everything to the drawer, but they still mount on the same 1/4-inch rods at the same spacing as the Alien Space Savers. So that way, if I wanted to mix and match everything together, they'll all fit with the same spacing as the Alien Space Savers. So I've made different ones. I've got, like I said, this is for 1/4-inch, and again, it allows, it drops right in, has a cutout for the anvil there. It goes either way, and the magnet holds that wrench in place. So I've got 1/4-inch, I've got 3/8, I've got 1/2-inch, and they said they all mount to those 1/4-inch rods. I'm really, really happy with the way these things turned out. I also made a couple of little supports for the handle. Don't really need them, but I figured I'm going to try these out. I haven't put magnets in them yet. It's something I'm trying out to see if maybe it'll keep the wrench from maybe rocking side to side as much, but it's just something I'm working on. I also have flat style here that I made for my torque wrenches, and again, work really well. So that's the first organizer that I came up with. The second organizer that I came up with were for my pliers. Again, I wanted full adjustability. Now I like the ones that are like the shark fin looking, just the single piece of plastic that kind of stands on end, a bunch of different dividers. They sell them at like Harbor Freight and all over Amazon and everything. But again, I wanted adjustability. So what I came up with were these. And again, they use the same 1/4-inch rods like the Alien Space Saver, and that gives me full adjustability for all of my pliers. Again, so like right there, you can see I had that one spaced far enough over because that wrench is too tall to sit on end. But then I can adjust for all the widths of like the thickness of different handles, different pliers, and it just makes everything nice and neat. Everything stands on end as much as possible. You can see the 1/4-inch rods. I have them set so they go the full depth of the drawer. So yeah, again, I wanted adjustability. So these work out really well. I actually printed these out of just some filament that I ordered that was the wrong type. So I just printed these out of that. Eventually I'll come up with some sort of color scheme for my toolbox and make everything the same. But these are just PLA, real quick to print. They work out really well. In this drawer also, I have these. What these are, you see the magnet in there. What these are for all your pliers that are spring-loaded that normally stay open. So for example, like these here. So these normally would stay too far open because they're spring-loaded, but now with these, I can put these on there. It keeps them mostly closed, but now they'll fit on end in my toolbox. I am currently printing more organizers right now. I don't have enough. But now all these pliers that are spring-loaded that normally you'd have to lay flat because they would just be too tall to sit in your toolbox on end. But now I have these little nose cone pieces that keep these closed just enough that now I can store them on their edge and my box can close. So yeah, there's those two. The next organizers I came up with were for my nut drivers. Now this is just an old set of Craftsman nut drivers, and I used to have a soft case for them, but it was always a pain in the ass having them like tucked into the corner of my drawer. Had to go into the case to find a nut driver if I wanted them, both standard and metric. So I printed out, again, these little organizers that mount to the rods. I'm trying to work around lights. And again, they have built-in magnets. I think this is for a 6mm. Maybe it'll show up. Probably not because of my lights. But they have the magnet on top, magnets on the bottom to help hold everything to the drawer. And again, they mount right on some of those 1/4-inch rods. Now the nut driver drops right in place. Nice simple organizer. Again, metric or standard and metric. And these are the Alien Space Saver socket organizers. I used a set of those for my crow's foot wrenches. Again, I love the Alien Space Saver system. All those STL files for 3D printing are available at the Red Blooded Products link down below. All of my organizers, the nut drivers, the plier separators, the plier dividers, my ratchet organizers, they all work on the same spacing as the Alien Space Saver wrench organizers. So yeah, I'm working on a bunch of different ideas for different organizers for my toolbox. Let me know down below, leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I could try to put together for different organization ideas for a toolbox. Again, leave some comments down below. Let me know what you think. Really appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell. See you on the next one.